Okay, well, taking off in the world's most ridiculous vehicle on the planet. This is the 2008 Hummer H2. Special thanks once again to Cary Imports for providing me with this vehicle. If you can call it a vehicle, it's more like a tank, to be honest. I've been eyeing this vehicle for a while, ever since I've been there. This is the 2008, so this is a very desirable spec. The Hummer H2 was built between 2003 to 2009. 2008 is when it got kind of a refresh, but it pretty much looked exactly the same. It's just some interior treatments here and there, but would you just look at this thing? This is, oh my gosh, you are 50 Cent when you are in this car. It is the most amount of swagger out of any car on this planet. This is such an insane automobile. I absolutely love it. It looks like a little Matchbox car or something. This is also the widest vehicle ever. This actually makes the Ford Raptor look like a little baby car, honestly. This is a real automobile, man. I love this thing so much. And I'm piloting this thing through some traffic right now. Honestly, it's not half bad. It's actually, you know, there's a lot of blind spots and stuff in here, but it's really like an easier, it's not easy, but it's not as bad to get used to as I thought. To place on the road in some traffic, it's really not too bad. But yeah, no, getting back to the looks, I mean, there's a reason why this thing is so valuable. If you guys didn't know, these things hold value like crazy. And in this video, I'm going to try and cover some misconceptions with the Hummer H2. A lot of people think that these vehicles are not fuel efficient or whatever. It's not. I mean, it gets like what, like maybe 12 mpg or something like that, like 11 or something like that. But it's really not as ridiculous as you might think, because it's about the same as, like, you know, if you drive like a Suburban or like an Escalade or something like that, it's about the same, or any one of these, like, you know, full-size pickup trucks. If you can convince yourself to buy one of those things, you can easily go out and buy one of these. Bust a little U-turn right here. See how that does. Or doesn't. It's okay. Not too bad. Fuel efficiency, I mean, yeah, it's not like a good thing about this car, but it's about the same as those SUVs and trucks that I just mentioned. But also, another reason is, you know, this is a 2008 Hummer H2. It's got like about 160,000 miles. Everything works perfectly, drives perfectly, and I'll get to that drive in a bit. But if you want to buy like a Tahoe, per se, because there's a lot of part sharing with the Tahoe going on here with this vehicle. And no, this is not just a rebadged Tahoe with some off-road capability. There's a little bit more going on than that, but the car market value is what I'm trying to get at here. A Tahoe that's 2008 with this much miles, 160,000 miles, is about 10 grand. This is about 20 grand. And you might be thinking, why would I pay twice the money for a Tahoe? Well, it's not a Tahoe. And also, the point is, this thing holds value like crazy. It's like a Raptor almost. That's kind of how you can justify owning one of these things, and why I kind of see some of these things out on the road now, actually. It's a fun vehicle to look at, to be in. I mean, the first thing I did was I started giggling like a little girl as soon as I got into this thing. I loved it. This big boxy automobile, it's sick. But now on to the drive. So for 2008, I did say that this thing was kind of refreshed and remodeled. Well, and that's true, but actually the main difference for the 2008 model year is actually this engine. So it's got a 6.2 liter V8 engine that's pushing out 393 horsepower and about 415 pounds-feet of torque. Now you might think, oh wow, that's some good numbers there. Well, yeah, but this thing weighs 6,600 pounds. So this is the heaviest vehicle that I have ever driven in my entire life. This is such a beast of an automobile, and why this is more of a tank than a car or an SUV. And let me tell you, I mean, if you put your foot all the way down, like, it will kind of shove you, but like, not really. I mean, this thing is still pretty slow. It takes a lot of brute force to keep this thing rolling at 45, 50 miles per hour. So you have to kind of occasionally give it some throttle roll so it'll kind of go down in miles per hour. And let me tell you, the brakes actually work extremely well. And the way the bite point feels and everything feels excellent. It gives you a lot of confidence actually stopping this big vehicle. But I'm sure with the weight of this thing, you know, you're probably going to be going through some pads and rotors pretty often. And the steering, you know, there's actually like a bit of play, but really nothing for a vehicle of this size and nature. I mean, I thought there would be a lot more play with the vehicle like this, but again, it's really not too bad. Obviously, I mean, handling, you know, it's really not as ridiculous of a vehicle. It's just My only complaint is it's a bit slow, but it's not too bad. I mean, it'll get up to speed if you put your foot all the way down into it. Definitely body roll with this. It's definitely not a dignified vehicle, but it is a lot of fun to pilot this thing. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very interesting automobile, and it's a useful one too. It tows about like 8,200 pounds, something like that. So much like the Suburban and the Tahoe vehicles, I mean, it's about the same. So it's a very capable vehicle in that regards. It is practical almost as well. Driving this, I mean, I don't have the feeling that's going to tip over or anything on day-to-day driving. It's totally manageable and totally drivable, honestly. I like the steering feel. There's good weight to it. Everything about this vehicle has a good weight to it. And again, 160,000 miles. I mean, it's still feeling pretty fresh. That motor sounds good. You know, it's not a bad driving experience. It truly, truly is. And people like to make this seem like some ridiculous thing, like it drives crazy and it handles terribly. I mean, it's not like a 911 or anything, and it's not like a Lamborghini Murcielago when it comes to fuel efficiency, but it's about average. I mean, it's like driving around in a normal SUV, honestly. The size isn't too bad to get used to. And most importantly, the resale value of this really helps you to justify owning a ridiculous car like this. And people just look at you, and it's got this unbelievable swagger. If you do care, the off-road capability of this is next level. I mean, it is literally like buying a Raptor for like half the price, honestly. It's pretty crazy. Or I'm sorry, like a third of the price of a new one. I'm really enjoying myself driving this thing. I can totally daily drive this on a day-to-day basis. Traffic, not an issue. Like this little roundabout thing, no problem. I don't feel like I'm gonna curb anything, and even if I did, it doesn't really matter. The comfort, I mean, it's got more of a truck ride, which isn't a bad thing. Not like super smooth like a luxury car, but it's comfortable. But you do kind of feel it a little bit. It's kind of like a tad bit bouncy in here, and there's definitely like road noise and tire noise because this thing is right on that BF Goodrich KO tires. I don't think it's a KO2, it's just the KOs, but obviously there's a lot of sidewall, so there's a lot of comfort there for that. But you know, these kind of like all-terrain tires are gonna have a lot more road noise than, or I'm sorry, tire noise than like a normal tire, but it's what adds to the look of this vehicle. And you know, being a legitimate off-roader, I don't mind putting these tires on a vehicle like this. I think it does make sense. It definitely completes the look of this, and you know, this color is pretty ridiculous too. A lot of people will be looking at you like in this thing, and especially in this color. It's such a big, bright, flashy vehicle. I love this thing so much. Pound it through this little corner right here. Oh, it does not like that. Put my foot into it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's not like an insane car to drive. I do like this a lot, and you know, driving a vehicle like this and on a day-to-day basis, it just puts a smile on your face. It's just fun. I mean, a guy with the Hummer, I mean, that's the guy that you want to be friends with and, like, you know, hang out with. I mean, this is such a cool ride, man. I could totally see myself whipping one of these things if I needed an SUV. Wow, this is pretty sick. I mean, if you guys are interested in this vehicle, it is at Cary Imports. I mean, this is a pretty desirable ride. An H2, that's an '08 with the power upgrade. I think, you know, the previous gens, you know, when it first came out, like 315 horsepower, then it bumped up to 325 with the 6.2 liter. It originally had a 6 liter V8, but the 6.2, you know, it's the most powerful one, so at least it gets up and goes a little bit better. And you know, this is kind of like the more legit Hummer. There's the H3, and people think that's supposed to be better or something. It's not. It's kind of like the baby version of this, and it's not like the H1 where it's like totally ridiculous. The H1 is like the one with the terrible gas mileage and all that. This is an H2. This makes a lot more sense, I think, on the road. And, you know, making quick maneuvers around idiots like this is not too bad in this vehicle. Like I said, pretty confidence inspiring. I don't have this like sensation that's going to tip over or anything. So I think overall this vehicle makes a lot of sense to go out and buy. As ridiculous as that is to say, I think the resale value of it, I think the cool factor of it totally makes sense for someone to go out and get. If you're looking at Tahoes and Suburbans, I would highly suggest you taking a look at one of these things. And parts are so readily available. You know, it's not exactly a Tahoe. There's a lot more reinforcement done to this chassis to make it more off-road capable. But, you know, if things do go wrong, you can, you know, use a lot of the typical Tahoe Suburban parts on this. It really shouldn't be too bad. It's kind of classic GM stuff going on here. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the driving segment. Let's go ahead and look at this ridiculous interior and that trunk space. Okay, so I apologize. There are some exterior things that I need to discuss first because this is such an obtuse vehicle, I swear. So there is no hood latch for this vehicle on the inside. It's just you undo these like little metal clip things on either side, and that's it. These are these two little belt things. That's the only two things keeping this clamshell hood together when you drive around in. I love that. Now, as we make our way towards the back, this particular vehicle at Cary Imports has this tire on the back. So usually some dealerships, what they'll do is they'll take that one tire and they'll sell it on eBay. They actually kept theirs, but it is a huge fiasco every time you need to access this, you know, trunk area. Basically, you always, every single time, you have to undo this, and you need to do that and then push this all the way out, because if you don't push it all the way out, then this thing is going to just, the hood thing is going to hit up against a tire. So, and then you can unlock this and access the trunk. Everything about this vehicle is so heavy duty and just difficult to operate. I mean, just owning this vehicle is a workout in itself, and you're going to love every single minute of it, because this never gets old, I swear. Now on to probably the most ridiculous interior space you will ever feast your eyes upon. But first, you gotta jump in using these little step ladder things right here, and Hummer, as you can see, written of course, because in case you didn't know what you were in. There you go, that's the interior. One of the most cheapest made vehicles I have ever seen, and I absolutely love it. Just look at this. It was 2008. Look at the improvements they made. Look at GM and their little classy little touches right here. Brilliant, love that. There's not an ounce of soft touch material anywhere except for like this carpet right here. Everything else extremely cheap, especially this little gear lever. Love it. Let me pull out these nonsense keys too, since we're here, so we can start this bad boy up for you. 120 on the dash, because you know you're gonna be flying in this joint. All right, old school key, of course. You know, got two little fobs and this little thing right here. Put that bad boy in as so, and twist it. Fires right up, blows nice cold AC in your face. Very nice. And the parking brake is right here, and there is a parking brake release thing right here as well. So if you ever put this thing down and you know you can't get it to come back up again, all you have to do is press this right here, and then just clumsily it comes right back up. But in all seriousness though, guys, when you get in here, this interior space, you know, it might seem very cheap to you, and it is, but there is a ton of features in here actually, especially for 2008. First thing I noticed was the automatic headlights. That's really nice. And man, I need an ND filter. It's way too exposed, but whatever. Yeah, automatic headlights. That's very nice. And there's this, so you have these window switches here, but you also have this switch right here, which is like a one touch, puts all the windows down, but it doesn't one touch put them back up again. You have to like hold them, so that kind of sucks, but it's very interesting. I've never seen two buttons like that, but all these switches are actually one touch down but not up, so something to note. You have your lock, unlock, and child safety features as well, and this is where you control your mirrors, and they actually do fold in as well, which is nice, but not when you electronically open and close it, the doors I mean. And you do have heated seats, which we're not going to use, but I'm just saying it is there. And apparently for 2008, this instrument cluster was completely like redone. You know, it looks okay, it looks very generic. I don't mind it though, it's very easy, simple to read, idle smooth too. This engine is pretty loud too, by the way. I mean, it's not, this thing is no joke, 6.2 liter V8. Same thing you find in like the Suburbans and stuff, but obviously this thing doesn't really move because it weighs 6,600 pounds. It does have an infotainment screen. You know, it's got navigation, all that good stuff. And it does have a backup camera in this particular vehicle. This is one of the first vehicles where I actually have to use it, because it is very difficult to see out of the back, so that was very useful. The resolution, of course, is not the best, but whatever. It does have like this 14 speaker Bose audio system, as you can see right there. Doesn't particularly sound the best, but whatever. And you have all your four-wheel drive controls right here. It's in the knob, so they actually changed that for 2008 as well. They went to like this knob design instead, so it's a little bit cleaner. Some of your traction control buttons right there. Your climate control is totally separated from the screen, which is nice. And like I mentioned, this stupid clock, which I think looks pretty cool. kind of out of place here though, but whatever. You have this in case you have an accident. You just bash their heads into this right here and just disintegrate them, leave a dent on their forehead. And you have a glove box, which is pretty shallow, surprisingly. Just a very strange interior space. You know, let me get this thing to work here. This is very loud and makes a lot of noises when you lock and unlock the doors by putting this thing into park and drive. And I like the little sound that the brake pedal makes. It makes like this little gas sound. Very appropriate for this vehicle. I don't know if it's supposed to do that, but I don't care. I do like it. And being one of these large vehicles, I don't even know what the hell that is. I just saw that like right now. That's very strange. It's got some headsets and a remote control in there. I'm not even going to touch that because that's kind of weird. But these seats are supremely comfortable. You know, GM, most American cars, you know, really nice seats, of course, leather, and it's actually held up extremely well too. So I'm very pleased to report that. And you have a pretty sizable, let's see here, sunroof, so that's pretty cool, I guess. The steering wheel is surprisingly pretty small, but I do like to use, I like this kind of thin rim that's surrounded this thin kind of steering wheel. There is some wear actually up here, and actually this particular vehicle does have a little crack in the windshield as well, but it's not a big deal. I mean, you can probably get that replaced for free. And I actually really enjoyed operating this vehicle. I thought this was a really clean drive, actually. Honestly, if I was trying to buy like a used Raptor or this, I think I would probably sway more towards this. I actually really like driving this thing a lot. You know, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but like everything else about this driving experience is really quite excellent. You can totally daily drive this, and the gas mileage, like I said, is about going to be the same as like a Suburban or something. So with that, that's pretty much a brief coverage of this interior space. Let's go ahead and check out those rear seats, and this is a third row vehicle, so maybe I'll try and jump in there as well. Oh, and electric seats too, by the way, both on the driver's side and passenger, which is nice. All right, let's shut that bad boy up. All right, climbing inside, again, big cushy seats, of course. I'm gonna move all this camera stuff out of the way. As you can see, plenty of space. All you gotta do is just climb up here and you're pretty much good to go. Oh yeah, you can easily fit back here. Because these seats are kind of raised up a bit, there's not like a whole lot of headroom like for really tall people. Like even me, I'm kind of sitting up in here, but the seating position and everything in this vehicle is very cool. It's very like squared off. It's like an interesting position to sit in, both in the driver's seat and the passenger seats. But you know, once I'm in here, it is very comfortable. Like I said, very nice leather seats, plenty of foot room, which is nice. You can really just shove your feet down in there, so that's cool. You can plug in a PlayStation 2 right there, you know, old school joint. And you do have heated seats even in the rear here, which is pretty cool. And climate control, of course, and some outlets here. So very cool stuff, actually. And this particular model does actually, if it wants to open, have a little Panasonic entertainment system, so your kids can, you know, watch Disney movies or something. I don't know, but that's there as well. And a little, you know, this right here, some HVAC. Cool your passengers down and put that down. You got some cup holders there. And you do have some seats here as well. They actually seem to have a decent amount of space, so I'm going to try and actually climb back over there. Let's see if I can, yeah, let me try and do that. Because that would make this a seriously practical vehicle. Obviously, when you have those things up, it does compromise a lot of the, geez, what the hell even is this? Oh my God, what did I just do? I just yanked that thing out. Oh boy, all right. Throw that back there. Okay, interesting. So you can actually fold this whole thing flat. Okay. I guess that makes it easier for me to, you know, kind of crawl in here. Oh. Yeah, no, I was lying. No, only kids can sit back here. No, this is not cool. No, this is very strange. Only a child can sit back here. What was I thinking? My knees are way too high. Oh well, whatever. Still, Interesting vehicle, lots of little storage cubby spaces here. As you can see, with these seats up, there is no trunk space. Like this is it, you're sitting in the trunk. So I would suggest just folding these down and just having more cargo space, honestly, because this is kind of a weird setup here. So with that, let's get into the conclusions and end this weird review off. So once again, massive shout out to Cary Imports for even letting me do this review on this incredible machine. One of the weirdest cars I have ever experienced, and it's also been one of my most favorites. Again, I just made a review recently talking about, older cars being better than new ones. This is just such a unique vehicle. You're never going to be able to buy this again, and that's kind of why the prices of these things are starting to go up. Or not up, I mean, they've kind of always been up. I mean, this costs twice as much as like a Tahoe or something, but I feel like this is twice the vehicle. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be as practical as a Tahoe, but it's going to be way cooler. And the gas mileage is going to be about the same. A lot of people I feel like a lot of reviewers, a lot of people in the media just like to paint a picture for everybody, like vehicles like this are just ridiculous and all this stuff. It's just a couple of practicality things, but other than that, it's very normal to drive, if you can get over the size of it. It's very boxy, the windows are kind of smaller. There's a couple of, little strange things like that, but otherwise, you can totally pilot this thing. I mean, I got used to this very quickly. The gas mileage is, mediocre, as much as you would expect out of a typical half-ton pickup truck. It is spacious for adults in here. The seats are extremely comfortable. Yeah, it's plastic, but what do you expect? It's like an older GM product. I mean, all the other vehicles in this segment were pretty much like this, so I'm not really tripping over that. The point is, this thing is unique, and this is a totally justified buy. I mean, this thing with 160,000 miles, it seems to be extremely reliable. It's extremely capable, and you and your family, if you decide to take your family in this or make this a family vehicle, you're going to be feeling extremely safe in here. I never once thought that this was going to tip over on me, or I always had a lot of confidence driving this vehicle on the street. The brake pedal, I was really shocked. It felt fantastic. It didn't sound weird, like no squeaking or anything like that. It was just a good drive. It shudders and stuff here and there, like kind of, for no reason, but it's an older vehicle. Overall, I mean, driving this, extremely solid. I really enjoyed driving this thing. If I was in the market for like a used Raptor or something like that, I'd probably look into this because it's going to be way cheaper. And I think the cool factor of this is a little bit higher. Everybody knows that this is a H2 Hummer. I mean, it's a classic, and it's going to always go down as a classic, and everybody looks and stares at it, especially in this color. This is a metallic paint job, mind you, and it does look stunning on this vehicle. I absolutely love it. So if you're interested in this vehicle, definitely consider hitting up Garrett and Adam here at Cary Imports. They'll be more than happy to sell you this vehicle. I think it's definitely a justified purchase for it, and I'll leave their information and their website down in the description if you want to check this vehicle out, and you can talk to them about this. So with that pretty much covers the entire Hummer H2. I'm a fan. I love this vehicle. I can totally see myself driving this thing around every single day. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Take care, and goodbye.